off for Tommy Archer and died. At Portland, Chevrolet evened to score, but the win came from an independent, Paul Gentilozzi, driving a Camaro. Defending champ Scott Sharp became the fourth winner in 4 races with a dominating performance at Motorsport in Canada. The factory Chevys were back. Sharp made it 2 in a row at Des Moines with another convincing victory. Would the Chevy steamroller continue in Connecticut? No way. Ford driver Ron Fellows tasted revenge by beating Sharp and the Chevys at Lime Rock. When Scott Sharp spun on the last lap at Watkins Glen, the victory went to his teammate Jack Baldwin. 6 different winners in 7 races. At Trois-Rivières, the only French Jack Baldwin needed was déjà vu. He entered the last lap in 3rd, but finished a winner in the wildest race so far. Elkhart Lake, Road America. Ron Fellows and Ford scored the win, but Baldwin's 2nd place locks the manufacturer's title for Chevy. Greg Pickett scored another win for the General at Mid-Ohio. 10 races, 7 winners, but it all comes down to 2 men today. Scott Sharp or Jack Baldwin will emerge today as the champion of what may well be remembered as the most competitive season the sport has ever seen, the 1992 Tide Trans Am Tour. ESPN, your world leader in motorsports, presents Speed World. From Sonoma in the heart of the wine country north of San Francisco, ESPN presents the Kenwood Popular Mechanics Trans Am Classic. Hi once again, everybody. I'm Jeff Kingery, along with our expert commentator, Bill Adam. Bill, there's a lot of stories developing in this season finale, the biggest of which is the race for the season-long championship.
It has turned out to be just an incredible season. From the first race, we've seen wonderful racing, but what it has come down to is something that could have been scripted by Hollywood writers. The 2-car team of Jack Baldwin and Scott Sharp, one of them today will be the 1992 champion, and it has gone past the point of friendship. Now they're starting to keep little secrets from each other, and it's almost a competition like between brothers. They still like each other, but, well, not that much.
We've mentioned that there are several stories building today, and for a look at a second story, let's send you to the pit lane. Here's our colleague, Paul Chater.
With 7 different winners in 10 races, winners can come from anywhere on the grid. And just to prove that point, we have 2 very fast cars way back here on the 5th row of the grid. Number 75 is Darren Brassfield. He's won the last 3 Trans Am races here at Sears Point. And sitting next to him in the number 10 starting position is Ron Fellows. Ron is a 2-time winner so far this season. And just to prove to Scott Sharp that he can come from anywhere, he made the point yesterday in the Kenwood Fast 5 shootout.
The shootout is a 10-lap sprint with grid positions randomly selected by the elite drivers who qualified in the Kenwood Fast 5 during the season. Scott Sharp drew, what else? Pole position, and led into the first corner from the dodge of Bobby Archer. Now, while Sharp pulled away from Archer, their teammates, Jack Baldwin and Tommy Archer, were battling for 4th. On lap 2, they came together. Baldwin spun out at turn 4, and the pace car had to come out.
At the restart, the order was Sharp in that yellow Camaro number 33, followed by Bobby Archer, then Greg Pickett, Jack Baldwin, and the number 4 Mustang of Ron Fellows. Fellows just taking 5th place back from Tommy Archer.
You couldn't fit a bumper sticker between the 4 cars battling for 2nd place, as Bobby Archer found out, but a few laps later. He left the slightest opening going into turn 11, and before he could blink, 3 cars passed, and the number 32 Dodge had fallen from 2nd to 5th.
With 4 laps left to go, Scott Sharp enjoyed a 3-second lead over Pickett in the white Camaro number 6. Jack Baldwin and Ron Fellows. Again at turn 11, they played a little leapfrog. This time, Fellows jumped his Mackenzie AER Mustang from 4th to 2nd, and then began the job of reeling in Scott Sharp.
Scott had gambled on the softest compound tires, and his bet looked like a good one in the early laps, but with less than 2 laps to go, Sharp was running out of rubber. Not willing to run a risk in with the Ford driver, he prudently let Fellows pass into the lead to take the checkered flag and the winner's share of that $20,000 purse. Now, perhaps as a preview of today's Trans Am finale, Sharp held on for 2nd place, aggressively but cleanly blocking the passing attempts of his teammate and the championship rival Jack Baldwin. Ron Fellows coming from 5th on the grid to win the 10-lap Kenwood Fast 5 shootout.
Ron Fellows and the Ford Mustang prove they're up to the challenge here at Sears Point, and they're my prediction for today's race winner. Let's see what Bill and Jeff think.
That's a good choice, Paul. Bill, what do you think today?
Well, we have a real scientific way of choosing. Just don't look and reach into my hand.
Aha! Jack Baldwin. Good choice.
Scott Sharp? Let's race.
ESPN's coverage of the Kenwood Popular Mechanics Trans Am Classic is brought to you today by Kenwood, for people who demand superior communications technology wherever they go. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires. The Napa Valley is home to more than California's world-famous wine industry. It also boasts one of the world's great road courses. Sears Point International Raceway, site of today's Kenwood Popular Mechanics Trans Am Classic. I'm Jeff Kingery, along with Bill Adam. Bill, let's take a look at this 26-car grid.
He's been the dominant driver, 7 pole positions, leading nearly half the laps, but pole sitter Scott Sharp enters this final race, trailing teammate Jack Baldwin.
I think we have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, and whenever we can, we try to help each other. So from that standpoint, it's nice to see that all the intensity and the competition hasn't really altered that a whole lot.
Even though he won at Detroit, his qualifying performance here surprised everyone but Tommy Archer.
A lot of those guys didn't give us credit because of the fact we've never been here in a Trans Am car, but, you know, we've been on the pole in everything but one vehicle we've ever been here with. So starting on the front row is not uncommon at Sears Point.
Jack Baldwin has been friend, teammate, and mentor to the one driver who can catch him for the championship, Scott Sharp.
We're still friends and good teammates, and we still work together, and we have a lot of respect and all those things. But our relationship has matured, and you know, I think, you know, school's out for this race.
Dodge has split the front 2 rows. Bobby Archer hopes the Chevy drivers will be preoccupied.
Scott can be a little bit more aggressive than Jack, because Jack's got the point lead. And I don't think that they're going to want to be messing around rubbing the doors with the Archers. So, you know, from my point of view, if I was in their shoes, I'd let the Archers go and win the race and let them settle their fight between them.
Coming off a victory with 15 career wins, including 3 right here, Greg Pickett knows how to win at Sears Point.
You need to go at a really rather aggressive pace, but just below what will punish the car. And you know what that's like, Bill. You can be 9.5 tenths and be okay, and 9.75 tenths isn't okay. So that's a real balance, and I think experience will benefit us in determining that balance and running at that level.
Greg Pickett rounds out the Kenwood Fast 5, but as we look at the rest of the starting field, pay careful attention to the 5th row, Darren Brassfield and Ron Fellows. As Paul Chater pointed out, they're both potential winners.
We've got 16 Camaros, 3 Dodge Daytonas, 3 Ford Mustangs, 2 Corvettes, an old Coronado, and a Pontiac Trans Am. 26 American hot rods in all. They're going to run 40 laps today, or just a little over 100 miles. Hold on to your hats. This is going to be a good one. Bill, what do we look for at the start?
I think a lot of tension right here. Let's watch and see what happens as far as potential mistakes. Scott will not make them. The Dodges, I don't know, but they're underway.
And a battle into that first turn. Sharp pulling up the hill.
Scott has been brilliant all season long. Look at the Dodge. He is fighting him all the way into 2 and has taken the lead. Now that's a surprise. Sharp right on the tail. You can see gas coming out the overflow. Perfectly normal. It is not anything for the viewers to worry about. But watch Sharp. I don't think he wants to be in a position where he's following another car. He would like to have clear track ahead of him so that somebody else's mistake can't take him out of that championship hunt.
Should point out today, Scott Sharp starting the race is 7 points behind Jack Baldwin in the battle for the championship. Whoever leads a lap today will get a point. Whoever leads the most laps today will get a point, and the winner of the race will get 30 points. If Scott Sharp wins the race today, Jack Baldwin has to finish second to clinch the title.
Just an unbelievable season. This is an incredible battle. You could see one of Scott's strengths right there with that Camaro, and that's the braking. The car has been fantastic all season long, and he closed right up on the Archer Dodge. Look at the Archer Dodge now up over the curbs. He's using all the track on tires that are not quite at 100% optimum temperature. They are still a little cold. I would watch for Sharp to try a braking maneuver into this final corner on lap 1. Let's just see if he does it. He's setting him up for it. Look at the Dodge blocking right down the inside, but look at Sharp. That's going to give Scott an excellent run out of the corner.
Bill, Scott Sharp in qualifying needed only 4 laps to win the pole. He used those tires everybody else in qualifying. How much of a factor is that now today?
I believe this is going to be a major factor there. We watched the Dodges run 11, 12, 13 laps in qualifying, whereas you just noted Scott only ran 4. Race tires do go off after a little while. They lose their adhesion. They lose the 100 percentile of what you would like them to stay at. So his tires will last longer, and he has always been a very smooth driver. That, too, helps the tires, as we're watching Ron Fellows, who has already moved up 3 positions in that number 4 Mackenzie Mustang. He is running 7th place already in this race.
Ron Fellows, one of only 3 drivers to win twice this year. 7 drivers have won so far.
You can see that the number 3 Dodge that's still leading with Tommy Archer, but 33, Scott Sharp in the Camaro, is still right on his tail. And sitting right behind them, you notice, there's the Hot Wheels car of Jack Baldwin, that blue car that was just out of our picture there.
As long as Scott Sharp's running second, Jack Baldwin's in great place in third.
Jack is very happy at this stage of the game. And in fact, I suppose he is hoping that Scott does not pass the Dodge. But Scott's going to take another run at it, and I think he will outbrake him here.
Got the inside.
Just beautiful. Look how stable that car stays under braking. It's so impressive. All season long he does this. And once again, we just see the Dodge, the car that's now in second place, getting a little bit loose off the corner. So these cars have tended all weekend long to get a little sideways, leaving the corners. Both of the Archers are using a lot of horsepower and burning up their tires. I expect Baldwin will try and force his way past that number 3 car as soon as possible.
That's Greg Pickett off the course.
Oh, now that is a huge development. Greg Pickett, without question, had to be a pre-race favorite. Now, here we're going to get an idea of what happened. Watching from Bobby Archer's Dodge, look up ahead, look at Greg going into turn 1. The back end of the car comes out, and then smoke off the tires as he locked up the brakes, trying to keep the car off the barrier, but obviously to no avail. He is definitely stuck hard on that barrier, and I expect may have damaged the car too much to continue.
The base car's out. We're under yellow. Scott Sharp is the leader. We're coming right back. Sonoma, California, famous for fine wine and fine racing, playing host today to the Tide Trans Am Tour season finale. Now the base car lights are off, the track clear, and we're ready to resume racing. Scott Sharp in the lead, and Tommy Archer in second, Jack Baldwin third. Here we go.
Now, this is what Scott wants. He has clear track, and using the Dodge as a blocker, he would like to try and put some space between he and his own teammate. Great battle going on here. This is a fight for 5th that we're watching. That's the number 4 Mustang. They're trying to challenge the 40, the white Camaro of Jim Durhog, one of the real veterans in the Trans Am Series. And I think he's run every lap that has ever existed. And on the tail of the Mustang, look down the inside. There's the number 75 Camaro of Brassfield. He's off the track. Oh, he tried an incredibly risky pass there on Ron Fellows. Somebody that you don't try that pass on. Ron goes as deep as you can get into corners. Brassfield took a real shot at him.
Brassfield has won the last 3 Trans Am races here at Sears Point. Only Mark Donahue has won 4 straight races in Trans Am on one particular track. Brassfield trying to do that today.
If there is anything like a prohibitive favorite at this track, it is always Darren Brassfield. And he's in one of George Robinson's Camaros that have proven to be outstanding race cars. Really, really a great combination. Look at this. Darren staying close to the Mackenzie Mustang there, the number 4 car of Ron Fellows. Our leaders go by, and here's this battle. Once again, this is 5th place. You're going to see somebody try something down here, I'll guarantee it. Oh, there's action every place. Look at Baldwin for a second. Took a look up the inside as Fellows and Brassfield both make a pass on Jim Durhog.
And it looks like Mitch Wright in that 3rd Dodge, that number 9, also got by Durhog.
Mitch is having a really good run. This is his first ever time in the 3rd team car, and I think that shows the importance of this series. When you're getting people like the Chrysler Corporation who are backing a fine effort that the Archers put together, and they decide for the final race, well, we're going to run 3 cars.
Mitch Wright, the shop manager for the Archer brothers back in Duluth. Bill, there's some talk that Dodge will field under the Archer brothers colors 4 cars next year. Wright would drive one as well.
I would not be surprised, and I'd like to see it. I think Mitch is a very talented driver, and to be out battling with all these seasoned Trans Am drivers with this little experience under his belt, I think is a great testimony to his abilities. Look at this. Great battle. This, too, both ends of the track are faced with almost hairpin corners. 180 degrees long, great spot. You can see somebody locking up the rear tires under braking. That's one of the Dodges, too, so something isn't quite set right in the brakes. The rear tires locked prior to the fronts, and that was the smoke coming off the car. Down through these high-speed S's. This is almost flat out. The cars are spectacular down through here, sliding wildly all across the pavement, 140-mile-an-hour range, really fast stuff.
Really looks right now like Scott's doing anything he wants to. The car's letting him do it.
Yeah, and I think Baldwin is, to a degree, allowing him to do that. You can see that Jack kind of takes a look up at the inside of that Dodge, but doesn't risk his cars. Once again, this is a great battle here with Ron Fellows in that number 4 Mustang, and right behind him, Darren Brasfield in the 75 Camaro. Wild racing going on right now. This is everything we hoped it would be and more.
It's a great track to finish a race on when you're coming down for a championship. You got a track to prove yourself on, like Sears Point.
God, it's wonderful, and Brasfield, he's looking for any possible place to prove himself. This is the area before, coming down this hill that Darren tried to pass on, just looking at the inside. Now, I think that was a feint. He was just letting Ron know that, hey, I may try it, trying to distract fellows. Ron's not going to fall for that. Over the crest of the hill. This, too, is a critical corner. It's a long downhill, 180 degree. You have to carry as much speed as possible because look at the length of the straight. You get third, fourth, fifth gear all the way up the straight. Look at Brasfield trying to take a shot up the inside under braking. Fellows is leaving him no room at all. Once again, a braking problem on the Dodges.
That's Mitch Wright again, struggling a little bit coming around that wide turn, that 180 degree turn.
It can be frustrating and also a bit dangerous because if you wear enough rubber off the tire, the vibration that it sets up can be horrendous. Even with power steering, you get a tired arm by the end of the race because this thing just tries to shake it to death.
Battle continuing now for fifth place.
And look at Brasfield, Jeff. He's trying up the inside this time. This time he's got him. Clean pass on Fellows. Darren carried more speed through that final corner than Fellows was able to in the number 4 car, and as a result, was able to cleanly pass him under braking. Once you're alongside the car you're trying to pass, you take away that car's option of turning into the corner to block him underneath.
Darren Brasfield now 5th. Los Gatos, California driver. Los Gatos a little bit south of Sonoma where we're racing today. And he's pouncing like a cat today.
Yeah, Darren has had a very interesting weekend, but because he is in a strange car, one that he is not totally familiar with, he has experimented over and over and over. Different springs, shocks, sway bar settings. Great in-car stuff here. Bobby Archer, the number 32 Dodge. Just following around this right-hander. Now we come up over the crest of that hill and into this downhill corner. So the car wants to get light as it enters the corner, and then once it settles down, you feed in a lot of power exiting out here.
Scott Sharp, by the way, we mentioned right at the top of the race, has already picked up a point for leading a lap. So at the moment, he is 6 points behind Jack Baldwin, about the closest I can remember in Trans Am racing, coming down to the last race for the championship.
That's right. And were the race to finish like this, Sharp would be champion because Baldwin is back in 3rd place right now. But again, I think Jack is maybe biding his time. He does not want to risk his car. He wants to make sure he gets passed in a clean spot. No damage at all.
Boy, nice train there. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and Brasfield in the white number 75 Camaro 5th.
Darren is just flying at this point. Look at this. He's trying up the inside of the Dodge, and I think he's got him. He does.
Got Bobby Archer.
Wonderful move there by Brasfield.
Now, before the race, Bill talked to Darren Brasfield about passing during these early laps.
What we're really going to have to do is we're going to have to pick, each time we want to go by somebody, we're going to have to take a real good look at it. It's going to have to be a wide open deal. We're going to have to get alongside of them real clean because we don't want to get in an early lap altercation and put ourselves out. You know, this place is notorious for taking people out. It's a long day at Sears Point. 100 miles here is probably the longest 100 miles you'll ever be in. So we're just going to take our time and lead the last lap.
Pretty good strategy.
I think that sounds very sane, but Darren is definitely pumped up right now. He is flying around this track.
He has moved up from 9th to 4th. He is closing in on the 3rd place car, that number 25 Hot Wheels car of Jack Baldwin.
And I expect that you're going to see Jack almost move over and let him go by. He can see that he is obviously flying right now. Once again, Jack is going to drive something of a conservative pace. Now, I think maybe Jack feels that Dodge eventually is going to lose his tires. Brassfield, however, looks like he's got enough speed to pass Jack's own teammate.
That's George Robinson by the number 9 Dodge of Mitch Wright into 6th place, and Ron Fellows has dropped back now to 7th. What do you think, though?
At this point, I don't know, because it appears that it's more mechanical than tires. We did not see any evidence of Ron having a problem sliding wildly around, and suddenly he has gone backwards instead of moving up to the front. Heavy action under braking once again. Look at Brassfield. He is trying this outside line to try and give himself more acceleration off the corner. Now he's hard under power, but once again, it looks like Jack Baldwin and the Dodge both have at least equal power to Robinson's motor. And here's bad news once again. Ron Fellows, the number 4 car, in the pits.
Ron had started 10th. He'd moved up. He was in that train contending. Then we saw him drop back, and this is not going to make his day.
Oh, no. 2 major disappointments. Both Ron Fellows and Greg Pickett, who we saw earlier, were people that we thought would be just magnificent at this track. It's not going to be the day.
Here's Jack Baldwin trying to hold off Darren Brassfield for 3rd. Tommy Archer in 2nd in the red Dodge number 3, right in front of that battle.
And that Hot Wheels driver, nervous man.
Looks like Ron Fellows is going to head back into the race. Scott Sharp continues to lead. We're coming back a quarter of the way in. Welcome back to Sears Point and the Tide Trans Am Tour. Jeff Kingery here with Bill Adam and Paul Chater. That's Ron Fellows in the Ford Mustang, entered by Tom Bloy. After that pit stop, he's back on the lead lap, but down in 25th. Paul Chater's with Tom Bloy.
Tom, what was the problem with the car?
One of those strange things that happens in motor racing sometimes. We lost the plug wire, fell off, had to put it back on. We're just losing positions gradually. Actually, for 3 laps there, he was on 7 cylinders. He's doing a pretty good job. Unfortunate. We need a yellow real bad.
Indeed, that Ron Fellows team needs that yellow. This man just needs the racetrack to stay clear. Scott Sharp with the lead right now.
Boy, and this battle is just continuing. Look at this. Everybody's slashing and cutting all over the place. Baldwin is really the meat in the sandwich right now. He would like to get by the Dodge, does not want to risk a chance yet. And Brassfield, obviously, is closing up all the time under braking. In fact, the second Dodge also appears to be closing up, so maybe this is going to be a 4-car battle in the space of a couple of laps.
If anybody can play that waiting game, it would seem to be Baldwin. He has been so consistent this year. No finish worse than 7th. Very smooth.
I agree. I think Jack is just remarkably good. As we're watching Ron Fellows, that's the number 4 Mustang, back underway, so at least they did get the plug wire fixed. He's got all 8 firing once again. But to return to what you said, Jack Baldwin, yes, he is a consummate professional. Very, very good drivers are watching Ron Fellows just smoke that right front brake a tiny bit going into the hairpin.
Fellows moving up on some of the back markers and trying to at least get himself in position where if there is a yellow flag, he'll be bunched up near the leader.
Well, I think this may work out to the favor of the spectators, because Ron is a fiery driver at the worst of times. Now, with a little adversity here, we've got the added fervor that he now feels. He goes, God, I've got to get back up there just in case a yellow comes out. This will be a spectacular performance.
And Fellows has something to shoot for today, too. He came into this race trailing Tommy Archer for 3rd in the season-long point standings by just a point.
Yes, that is a critical battle. As we're watching, there's Tommy Archer, Jack Baldwin in the Camaro. The white car just coming in, that's another Camaro, and a Dodge back, the 4th car in the train. So Dodge sandwich with a pair of Camaros in the middle.
Jack Baldwin sitting on the lead in the championship, and yet knowing if he finishes 3rd and Scott wins, it's not good enough. So he's got his eyes set on Tommy Archer in 2nd. A very tactical driver, Jack Baldwin, and he's got a lot of respect here.
This is a hard place to get around fast, lap after lap. This is a hard place to be consistent, to keep a car under. You got to drive fast, you got to drive intelligently, you got to read the track, you got to read the chassis. This place can get away from him.
And Jack Baldwin, of course, fighting Scott Sharp for that championship. He's got to think about that, too. He said going in, though, what I'm really going to try to do today is just forget all about those points and just go out and run the race, the kind of race we've been running all year.
I think that is exactly what Jack has to do, and his statement is so true that we saw proof of that just a short while ago when we saw Greg Pickett's car parked backwards up on that tire wall. I don't know if anybody has more laps at this track than Greg Pickett, and yet it bit him. Brassfield continuing his fight. Look at how tight he holds that very, very tight inside line all the way down the hill. Much different than anybody else does it, and it seems to hurt Darren. He drops back a little bit from Jack every time down through there.
You know, you really think, and you hear drivers say that every course experience counts, but maybe more here than other places, Bill?
Well, I think it does, because we're faced with a number of challenges. There's both high and low speed corners, but the elevation changes here make it dramatically different. It's a track something like Moscow in Canada, where you've got blind corners, you've got off camber, weight shifts, very challenging. And when you can drive well at Sears Point, you can drive well any place.
Jim Durhog is running well back in the pack, said this is the only track in the world that encompasses 3 time zones. He said it changes that much, it's that difficult.
Yeah, it's about the truth, too. It really is. Down this area is very flat, but then right ahead, and there's the guys who have the real tough job. That's the Jack Baldwin Hot Wheels crew.
Their man in third, Scott Sharp, continues to lead. We'll be back. Jeff Henry, and Bill Adam, and Paul Chater are back at Sears Point, about halfway through this race, the finale of the 1992 Tide Trans Am season. Scott Sharp is the leader. He needs to win, and that number 25, the blue car, Jack Baldwin, has to finish third or lower if Scott is going to overhaul Baldwin and win the Trans Am overall title.
And it's a bit of a mystery right now. Normally when Scott takes the lead, he drives off into the sunset, but look up ahead. It's not happening. Oh, Brassfield. Oh, boy, he came close. Down the inside, locked up the rear brakes, and almost tagged Baldwin's car.
Jack's got his sights, of course, set on Tommy Archer in that red number 3 Dodge. Oh, that's Lou Gelati off the course.
Oh, and he has hit hard. Look at the front of the car. Serious damage. A replay. Keep an eye on. Look at this. Watch straight. He is going straight. The car is not turning at all. I would expect that something is broken on the steering.
Yellow flag is out, and Lou Gelati out of the car. Tough break. They had just built that car in the last 3 weeks. It's Gelati's first race in Trans Am this year.
Well, this full towards yellow is exactly what Darren Brassfield and Ron Fellows have been waiting for. Now, let's check in with Paul Chater in the pits.
It's an extra set of tires sitting here at Ron Fellows' pits, and these could be crucial as we reach the halfway point in the race. Fellows elected to go to a hard compound rear tire, harder than anyone else. So as he tries to claw his way back through the field, his choice of tires could be crucial. For more on how these tires are chosen for qualifying and for the race, let's go to Bill Adam.
Life is full of gambles and compromises, and nowhere is this more evident than here in the Trans Am Series. At the start of each race weekend, each team must declare the type of tire that it wants to run for the race, taking into account weather conditions, track and surface conditions, and basically make the choice of tire compound. Do you choose a soft tire that gives you a little more traction, or a hard tire that's going to last for the full length of the race? Here is the big gamble. Which way do you go? The number 5 Camaro of Pickett Racing, being driven by Randy Ruhlman, is taking perhaps the biggest gamble of all. The softest compound available from Goodyear is the R430, and this does 2 things. Because it is the softest, it gives the greatest traction, but because it's giving traction, it wears out the fastest. Now, this track has always been known as being extremely abrasive, very hard on tires, and if anything changes here, this car will be a handful at the end of the race. Now, the championship-leading number 25 Camaro of Jack Baldwin is taking perhaps the safest road this weekend. He's running on Goodyear 600 compounds. These are a little harder than the 430s, but the advantage is that they won't overheat or wear out quite as quickly. So maybe this is the good middle ground. And finally, we come to the number 4 Ford Mustang of Ron Fellows. The Mackenzie car is taking perhaps the biggest gamble of all. The rear tires are a 620 compound. This is the hardest compound Goodyear makes. 2 things about it. Number 1, it is the hardest, and because it's the hardest, it tends to skate. But the second thing, it can skate all day long. And keep in mind, yesterday's Fast 5 shootout, this is the car that won. This is the car that had tires at the end of the race.
car heading off the track, and we're about ready to get the green flag again. Lou Gelati all right after that accident. And here we go under green, and once again, Scott Sharp in that number 33 Camaro jumps into the lead.
And here back inside Bobby Archer's car, great view of what the drivers are watching as they go around the track. Let's just look. The car right ahead, by the way, is the Darren Brassfield number 75 Camaro. Let's just watch. Here he goes. Now Darren is trying down the inside. He is inside of Jack Baldwin's Hot Wheels car. Look, a clean pass, but notice how tight that was.
Championship. We're coming right back over halfway through this race at Sears Point. 5 laps of racing left in this season finale from Sears Point. Jeff Kingery along with Bill Adam and Paul Chater. There's your leader in the number 75 Camaro. That's Darren Brassfield. Amazingly enough, a lot of experience, but running his first Trans Am race of 1992.
Well, but he's certainly in a good car. That Robinson Racing Camaro has had success earlier this year. You just saw the pace car pull off, and look at Baldwin. He's ready for it, too.
And Brassfield holds the lead. Scott Sharp in the yellow number 33 Camaro in second, but that's not good enough as he's chasing Baldwin for the season-long championship.
Now, the thing that Jack is worried about, that his crew chief already alluded to, is contact from the Dodges. There was contact earlier this year at Trois-Rivières, Quebec. He does not want to take a chance on that now. He is so close to the championship, he can almost taste it. Look at how close the Dodge is staying, though. Both Dodges. Right on the tail of that number 25 Camaro. Jack, this is the time you need Hot Wheels, my man.
And right behind those 2 red Dodges is the team owner of Darren Brassfield's car, George Robinson, in the number 74 Hunting Ranch Camaro.
This is very interesting, too. Look at Scott Sharp. He is staying tight on the tail of the Robinson Camaro, the number 75 car of Darren Brassfield. Scott knows if he can get by that car, the championship could be his. Oh, and there's some contact. That's Ron Fellows backwards down the hairpin. Mitch Wright's Dodge goes around him.
Well, this has not been Ron Fellows' day after winning the Kenwood Fastback Shootout yesterday.
I can understand that. Ron thought he may have one final chance to get further up the grid. Takes a bit of a gamble. He really did not have a whole lot to lose. Back underway, he will be furious at himself. Down through the S's, this is the high-speed section. This last corner leads into the great out-braking passing area. Right up ahead of us there. Inside Bobby Archer's car, immediately in front of us, there's the teammate, and look at Baldwin, just barely ahead. That's Tommy Archer, right in front of us.
Archer brothers have swapped notes all season long. This is their first year in Trans Am racing. They've been about as successful as you can be in any type of car they've run, and they figure they're going to be that much stronger coming back after a year of experience this year in 1993.
I agree. I am sure they will. They have both had very, very fine seasons, have been competitive almost every place they've gone to. And you can see that these engines also are relatively new. It appears they do not have the pulling power that the Chevys have off the corners, or the Mustang for that matter. Tight up in, closes up under braking.
Ron Fellows trying to get past Tomas Lopez, Jim Durhagen. In the front of that group is Mark Fielsticker.
Good area right here, down at the hairpin. One more, listen to the time. Look at Fellows, he's, and just avoiding an intact there between Lopez and Fielsticker's car.
Well, that's one way to get by him.
Here's a replay. Look at this. Durhag tries to go by the inside. Fielsticker spins. And just watch now. Watch in the background. You're going to see that red Mustang come in. Right there. Bang! Up against him. Durhag just gets by on the outside, and there's Fellows literally getting by with just inches to spare. Minor damages to all the cars, though.
And back at the top of the pack, that's Darren Brassfield and Scott Sharp, Jack Baldwin in the number 25 Hot Wheels Camaro. And then Tommy Archer, the first of those red cars, the Dodges, is in 4th place. And a lot of debris down here now as they come through from that accident.
Boy, and do you think that Sharp can taste the championship? Look at that. He actually tried an out-braking maneuver the last lap. This is it. All the marbles right here. Baldwin or Sharp.
If they finish this way, Jack Baldwin running third there in the number 25 will be the series champion. Scott Sharp has got to pass Brassfield if he's going to win the championship. Brassfield's going for his 4th straight win here at Sears Point in Trans Am.
Just amazingly great racing. This is phenomenal. This has to be the best racing in the world.
Just a train back to about 7th spot right now, Bill.
Well, hats off to SCCA for keeping this so equal. Look at the number of cars in contention at this late in a sprint race. And look at Sharp. He is staying very, very close.
Where can he do it? In a half a lap.
This is one spot right here. But look at Brassfield. Tight up the inside. Sharp just locks up his tires a little tiny bit there. Maximum braking. Now he only has one chance left. Flat out down through all these S's. You just barely breathe off the gas. Look at almost dead equal these cars are.
And coming to turn 11, the wide one, will he go? Which way was he going to go? Let's see.
Brassfield will definitely hold the inside. Sharp is going to get that outside maneuver if he wants it, but I don't think he can do it. Here we are, the final corner, right up ahead. There's the last corner, that 180. Brassfield's moving to the inside. He's going to hold position. Look at this. Sharp cannot get any tight. There may have even contact. Both sideways off the corner. Brassfield is going to win the race. Jack Baldwin is going to be the 1992 champion.
What a finish!
Unbelievable.
Darren Brassfield is your winner in car number 75. Scott Sharp finishing second. Your champion for the series, Jack Baldwin, is third. Take a look at the rest of the top 10. We'll be back. Back at Sears Point, there's your series champion, Jack Baldwin. Paul Trader moving down, and let's see if we can get a word with his team owner, Buzz McCall.
That was an unbelievable race. Scott showed a tremendous amount of class running Darren into that last corner. And, you know, Scott really did his career, I think, a lot, the way he conducted himself in that race. You know, Scott knew what was on the table. Jack knew what was on the table. And as I told you before, it was up to them to see how it was all going to work out. And I think Scott deserves all the kudos for the way this season finished up for this team. It was on a high note. Jack's going to be a great champion. Scott's going to come back, hopefully, and defend, you know, next year and maybe be a 2-time champ. So, again, our team couldn't lose, but it was a great way to finish for us.
Are you disappointed?
Well, you got to, because, you know, the goal is to try to win the race today and win the championship. But, you know, Darren's a heck of a driver, and he was making my path real tight. Really didn't have many ways around him, and I'm not the kind of guy who wants to go take someone out. And, you know, Jack was right there in third anyway, and if he would have benefited, and I'm not into taking, you know, Darren ran me pretty clean, more or less, and hats off to him, hats off to Jack. He did a good job to win the championship this year, and I'm just happy we could get it as close as we could.
Well, Darren Brassfield is happy, but the man truly happy, our champion, Jack Baldwin.
Buzz said, you're either going to be running easy or running for your life, and I'm going to tell you, this Mattel Hot Wheels Camaro, we had to run for our life every lap. It was unbelievable, but it was a good car. We ran as hard as we could. We did what we needed to do to win this championship. I want to say hi to Allison and Erica back at home. I won, babe, I won.
When was the last time you were in a race this competitive?
I'll tell you what, it's been a while. You know, I think back in the Jim Russell days when everybody had the same cars, it's really competitive out here. Great job to, you know, get everybody real even with, you know, when we're, you know, there was Chevrolets, you know, Fords and Dodges all right there nose to tail, and it was just a matter of, you know, if you knew where you were going on the racetrack and saving your tires, is the guy who won today.
The only other Trans Am driver ever to win 4 straight at one track was the great Mark Donahue. We're going to see you back here to try to make it 5 in a row?
Well, I think I'm going to be back here next year, that's for sure. We got to go for the record. You know, it's nice to be in company with a guy like Mark Donahue. I consider him probably one of the greatest drivers ever to, you know, step into a car.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to be in company with Jack Baldwin, with Darren Brassfield.
And Scott Sharp with a hug for his teammate. Jack Baldwin, your 1992 series champion.
You know what, an impressive fact is that Jack is the first Trans Am driver ever to complete every lap of every race for a full season.
ESPN Speed World has been brought to you by Kenwood, for people who demand superior communications technology wherever they go. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud. Built been a great season. Can't wait for 93.
Yeah, you know it's a great season when you don't want to see it end, but I think Mr. Baldwin wanted that checkered flag to come out, and he now has what he's been looking for all year long.
Darren Brassfield, the winner today. For Bill Adam and Paul Chater, I'm Jeff Kingery. So long from Sears Point.